indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. My name is Phyllis Tinsley. Thank you for attending our board meeting. I'm going to make a motion to open up our public board meeting. All those in favor? Before we begin, I would like to have a moment of silence for all our veterans. Tomorrow is Veterans Day, November 11th, 2020, and we want to give honor to all our veterans. So with a silent prayer, we can just make sure that's happening. Thank you. Thank you very much. I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes for the October 13, 2020 board meeting. All those in favor? Would like the treasurer's report done by Chris Caputo.
The treasurer's report for October 2020 was provided to the board last week. If there's any questions on the report, they can ask now or at a later date.
Any questions? I would like to make a motion to approve the treasurer's report. All those in favor? Thank you. The receipts of the financial report. Chris?
The monthly financial report for October 2020 was provided to the board last week. If they have any questions on any of the reports for the month of October, they can ask now or at a later date.
Any questions? I would like to make a motion to approve the receipts of the financial reports. All those in favor? Yes. Okay, we would like to do the superintendent's report.
Thank you. I wanted to just bring to the attention of the new travel advisory that the governor has issued. I know I did include it in my weekly letter. However, I just want to make it formal, bring it to the attention of the public, that in the prior, his advisory said that if you went to any red states or any of the states that are active in COVID, that you had to quarantine 14 days. But now that almost every state is at the same level, the new travel advisory says that you really should test before, and then when you return on the 4th day, you test again. So we are going to ask, with the holiday seasons coming up, that people be mindful. We want people to be honest. We know that there are some travel plans that many of you may have, but we ask you to be mindful of the travel advisory and to make us all safe. We want to keep school as open as long as we can, but we also have to be mindful of the spikes. So if you do travel, please alert us that the family has traveled and that you are in quarantine, and so we can respond by giving you the necessary instruction, whether it's in virtual instruction or in hybrid. Let us know, and please test as soon as you get back the 4th day so that we know that we are free and clear to begin school. Also, I'm going to ask Mr. Dan if you would follow up with the traffic light that came up at the last meeting. There was a question asked about the traffic light.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Lewis, and good evening. Last board meeting, a resident, Ms. Hartley, raised an issue regarding the traffic light on Wicks and Ocean. I have a report here from the Nassau Department of Public Works Engineering Department, Mr. Paggi, who I spoke with several times, and if you bear with me, I'll run through the report so everybody gets an understanding on where we're at with that left turn signal. Over the last 2 years, there have been several requests for this left turn signal at the intersection of Wicks and Ocean, including their most recent request from Legislator Abrams' office about 2 months ago. This has been in the pipeline for study. However, COVID has delayed it. Typically, a traffic study happens first with a volume test, which measures the number of cars through a particular intersection. That's done 3 times a day. An AM test, a midday test, and a PM test. They also look at accident history at a particular location. And then finally, they do a gap testing, which is the timing between when a car is approaching and the car behind it passes. What is the time that it takes for one car to pass, followed by the second car, and how much time is there to actually make that turn? So after all 3 of those tests are performed, that's what's typical of a traffic study. He mentioned, Mr. Paggi, that there were several issues surrounding this particular situation. Since it's a school, they can't conduct the study during summer months. For obvious reasons, traffic's not as typical during those months. Also, being that it's in a COVID environment, the volume test has been suspended due to the traveling being less overall in the county of Nassau. He further explained that they don't want to conduct an inaccurate test because that would then backdate it and they'd have to queue it again up for another study several months later. In conclusion here, what he told me was as traffic has returned to normal, they will begin the study sometime around Thanksgiving and before the Christmas holiday. However, even if this was approved tomorrow, it would take up to 8 to 10 months to install the traffic light. So in conclusion, they are studying this. It's on the docket to be studied. However, if it was approved tomorrow, it could take up to 8 to 10 months. I'll follow up with Mr. Paggi as to the study and then update the board accordingly. Thank you.
And lastly, I want to inform the public that the Board of Regents has determined that the January Regents will be canceled. There are many students who were in a Regents program that would have exited them in January. They would get credit if they were passing the course. We are going to follow up on their performance and that they would get the Regents credit. Now, as for June, we are still petitioning the Board of Regents to consider other alternatives. I'm also working very actively with some members of the Board of Regents to see what we can do about the 3 through 8 assessment, which is a federal requirement. But I actually met with couple of regents and the chancellor to lay out an alternative methodology that could be used. There is some considerable interest in that, and I won't say anything further until Regent Rosa makes her announcement. But we are working actively, that is the Superintendent's Association, working very actively to see what we can do creatively so that our children are not put through a more stressful period of a 3 through 8 assessment, and finding some other alternatives for the June Regents exam. But we'll wait for them to make the announcement.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis. I would like to make a motion for the consent agenda, 11 through 13. All those in favor? Also would like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor? Yes. Thank you. We'll go to public participation at this time. We'll start with the audience. If anybody would like to ask a question, is there a mic there? You can stand. You have a mic? Is that Jan Cassell? Okay.
Good evening, Jan Kassal, 11 Lincourt, Malverne. I think about 2 weeks ago, New York State Allies for Public Education asked me to give them link to, and I am blanking it now, and I could not get the information, but basically it was a list of contracts with companies that provide applications for kids through school. And it's some state bill that should be posted on school district website, naming one contact officer who's in charge of keeping these contracts at one place. Anybody knows about it? I didn't find it on the website, that's why I'm asking about it here.
I believe you're referring to the Ed 2D law.
Yeah, 2D letter
Right,
was there, yes.
So the district has an information officer. So we can get that information to you, but it should be on the website. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. We'll correct that.
Yes, I did not find it there,
Yes,
so.
the district we should have a named, we have a named information officer, and we'll place it on the website.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cassell. Is there anybody else in the audience that would like to ask a question? Okay, so, Mr. Gahuli, can you begin with the virtual questions?
Good evening, everyone. Question number 1, when will the virtual Explore teacher be hired? The virtual Explore teacher be hired? That I'm going to have to get back to someone because I'm not sure which school we're talking about. So it's the electives at the elementary school. So I'll have to get back to you on that one. Question 2, what is the district's plan to bring middle school and high school students back into the classroom more days, full time? Is there a plan? And if so, is it gradual by grade, school, or all or nothing? We are seeing many districts in our area bringing their older students back into school full time. While our district is excelling in technology, allowing our students to learn remotely, our remote days are merely a distant second to physically being in school. Simply put, there is no comparison to being in school. Our hybrid schedule is having our students shift back and forth between two worlds. The remote days are similar to watching a movie instead of living it. There is a huge discrepancy between the amount of learning and focus that occurs at home versus school. While our teachers are doing an amazing job, it is near impossible to tend to the students in front of you and the students at home. It is human nature to tend to what you can see and forget, even momentarily, about what you cannot. I have raised the issue at the school level and feel that it is time to raise it to the full Board of Education. As a parent, what I experience with my 6th grader is a child who cannot yet focus without structure. We have set him up with a desk, a quiet place, a separate computer to use for WebEx, comfortable chair, headphones, but we cannot replicate the emotional structure of the classroom at home. The problem multiplies on days with happenings like the parents' work schedule or meetings, internet issues due to weather, house visitors, construction in the street outside his window without notice, construction neighboring houses outside his room, and the list goes on. I am seeing a huge disparity between the grades of tests of work done in school, 90 and above, and at home, 60s and 70s. It is the focus that is the issue, and how is a student to mature and get better without structure? Life is going on outside now, and the district needs to figure out a way to take advantage of the good times and prepare for, but not wait for the bad. We need to remember that the K-5 students are going full-time and are very successful thus far, and that was the age group that people were afraid of it. How is it that they can be socially distanced and safe, and the 6 through 12 students cannot? While I have extreme confidence in the learning that can occur, if the kind of lost that a second. Hold on. How can it occur? The unfortunate need arises for us to go full remote. We should not use our technological advances to be a crutch to our children's learning and social and emotional needs. Thank you.
Well, we have been successful in having our K-5 in. We've used every space that's available. We have deployed staff. We've added staff to that area. And we are going to be looking at bringing more people back. As you know, many more, we had 100 more students coming, at least 100 more students coming back on November 14th. But we are, this person very thoughtfully has laid it out. We recognize the problem. And I want you to know that the principals really do want and teachers want the kids back. We want to do it safely. So we're going to give serious attention to that. And if the spike does not continue, we would move to a different plan for after in the third semester. But for now, with the COVID spikes the way it is, we're going to continue with our plan for the second quarter of the year. But give some really serious thought to going full throttle, full school with the always having a virtual option. Because I know there are parents who have some conditions at home that they must have that virtual option. So we'll always have that virtual option. For this year, we'll have the virtual option. But we are seriously thinking, I know that there are some students people are very concerned that they've disconnected. In a social emotional sense, they've disconnected. And we are concerned, and we are reaching out to those students to try to bring them in. But I fully appreciate the thoughts that have been expressed, and we're going to be working towards the goal that you've mentioned.
Thank you. Next question. Is it possible to have a better variety of breakfast and lunch items on the menu?
So both Mr. Caputo and I have been working in unison with our food service director, and we do understand the concern here, and we're working to bring hot menu items to the menu for the month of November. Our quarter starts on the 16th, which is next Monday, and by Wednesday and every Wednesday thereafter, we are introducing hot foods, beginning with chicken nuggets. Furthermore, we'll be looking into pizza as we get into the months of December and moving forward. So we are attentive to this. And I also want to mention that lunch and breakfast are free to all students for the remainder of the year. Thank you.
Question number 4. Hold on a second. Slide down. The board has said they are against, monitor of the district was fired for what they said on Twitter. Why wasn't anything done to the...
Yes, read the question. Why don't you read?
Okay. Okay. The board has said that they are against hate monitor. I think they mean hate mongering. Or is that the monitor of the district was fired for what they said on Twitter? Actually, it was Facebook. Why wasn't anything done to the board member who spewed hate speech on Twitter, calling Jared Kushner a white supremacist Jew? I take offense to this comment and hate, and if you discipline one employee with firing, you should do for all. So that was my comment on Twitter, and it was not my brightest moment of clarity in expression. I wasn't commenting on the fact that Jared Kushner, I wasn't criticizing Jared Kushner for being a Jew. I was criticizing Jared Kushner for being a white supremacist. And it always surprises me when someone of the Jewish faith embraces white supremacy because of the history of the Holocaust and the origins of white supremacy with the Nazi regime in Germany. So what I was trying to say was, why would a Jew be a white supremacist? It did not express myself clearly. I was not trying to be anti-Semitic. I am not anti-Semitic. And when I understood that people were misinterpreting my comment, I deleted it. And that's the explanation. I have no issue with anyone of the Jewish faith, including Jared Kushner's faith. I have an issue with him being a white supremacist.
Okay, next question. Can we get a breakdown for the number of students in virtual classes by grade for the second marking period? Yes, I don't have them on. If you email me, I will get you those the numbers. And let me just make sure.
The question is, do we have a record of it? We do.
Next question. Ooh, another
I
meal
don't have a
question. Will vegetarian options be included for the updated breakfast lunch menu?
No.
Yeah, that's the last question.
Thank you so much for all those questions out there. So before we end, we have some dates to remember. November 11th, which is tomorrow, is Veterans Day. The school is closed. November 12th is Davison Parent Teachers Conference from 3 to 5 and 6 to 8, and it is virtual. November 19th is Howard T. Herber Parents Teachers Conference from 3 to 5 and 6 to 8, and it is virtual. November 24th is Malverne High School Parents Teachers Conference, 3 to 5 and 6 to 8, and it is virtual. November 26th to the 27th is Thanksgiving recess. School is closed. December 8th will be next board meeting at 8 o'clock in this Impact building. And I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. It's coming up right around the corner, and to be blessed and safe. I would like to make a motion to close the public session. All those in favor? Thank you. Have a nice night.